Welcome to the County Compass, Columbia County's guide to news, voices, and perspectives, hosted by County Manager Scott Johnson. This podcast is your behind-the-scenes look at what's happening in county government and across our community. We'll talk about the services, projects, and decisions that make Columbia County a great place to live. We're glad you're here. Thanks for listening to the County Compass. Now, here's Scott Johnson.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the County Compass, the podcast that keeps you connected to the people, projects, and progress that's making Columbia County one of the best places to live in Georgia. I'm Scott Johnson, the county manager. I'm your host for today's podcast, and today we're going to be talking about something that touches every single one of us the moment we get behind the wheel, hop on a bike, or cross the street in Columbia County, and that is our intelligent traffic network. I do want to give a shout out to a couple of the fans of the podcast who stopped me recently, and I was asking for additional. They talked about how much they love the podcast, and I was talking about ideas for future shows, and the young lady said, we'd really like to hear more about this intelligent traffic network. So here we go. This one's for you and for everybody else that drives in Columbia County. We hear it all the time. The two biggest issues that we have in Columbia County are taxes and traffic. We are actively working on the tax situation. If you've been listening to the podcast, you know that our bill is progressing well through this session of the legislature that will allow us to set up a homestead tax relief grant that would essentially eliminate property taxes. Hopefully that's our goal, is to eliminate homestead property taxes in Columbia County. So we're working on that one. So let's talk about the other one today, the traffic. As Columbia County grows, obviously, we're going to have more people on the road. Every decision that we make as it relates to zoning or whether a neighborhood gets to go here or doesn't get to go there, all those things really come back to how much congestion is it going to cause, and are we ahead of our infrastructure, or can we get ahead of our infrastructure? Hopefully, you've noticed that the traffic lights in Columbia County may be a little bit smarter than other places that you may drive. So today we're going to pull back the curtain on that, and we're going to tell you how our intelligent traffic system, or ITS, what we call it, is using that cutting-edge technology to fight the congestion, save you time. It's also saving you money, believe it or not, and making our roads really safer than ever. We're going to talk about how the network itself works, the investments we've made to build it and maintain it, and then why it matters to you. So let's dive into that. First, a little context. As you know, Columbia County is booming. We're home now to almost 170,000 residents, and we're one of the fastest growing counties in the state. There was a time we were also one of the fastest growing counties in the nation. So Columbia County has no shortage of new people, and that means new cars and additional drivers on the road. It also means new opportunities for Columbia County. So what we're going to be talking about today is how we've seized one of those opportunities to kind of make life better for the motorist here in Columbia County. In the old days, the answer to I guess, traffic was just build more roads or just widen a road. Well, we've all seen, and those of us that have lived through road widening projects in Columbia County, they take a long, long time. By the time we think about a project and then fund that project and then go through the engineering and the concept phase and then have the utilities removed out of the right-of-way and move back, and we do property acquisition if we need to negotiate that with landowners nearby. It's years and years and years of putting roads together. I remember we talked about the William Few extension at one point, and there were some environmental concerns that had to be worked out before we could do that project. And I believe that project turned into a 7-year plus project just to be able to get that connection through there. So we can still widen roads, we can still add roads, but we've got to figure out ways to do it faster. We got to figure out ways to use technology to our advantage, not just widening the road. And that's really where our intelligent traffic network comes in. It's a combination of adaptive signals that hopefully you've witnessed and understood. Maybe if you haven't, you will after this podcast. It's the cameras that we have up. The cameras at the intersection are not red light cameras to issue a speeding ticket. Our sheriff is not in favor of that kind of technology, so we don't use it for that. We actually use it to count the cars and to make this network work properly. the fiber optic connectivity. Without fiber optics, we couldn't do this. So the county's broadband network is really what allows us to do it. We also have dynamic signs, emergency preemption devices in our fire trucks. We're going to talk about that. The pedestrian safety beacons, we've installed a lot of those lately, and even a smartphone app that connects directly to the system. Some of you may not know anything about that, but that's why you're here, to learn what's going on in Columbia County. So we're going to talk a little bit about that app and how it works. So all of the heart of our traffic network is really housed in our Traffic Operations Center. If you remember the old Building A, or maybe went over there, our Traffic Operations Center was built over time by our staff, and it consisted of a video wall that we added to. It consisted of all the feeds coming in from all the cameras all over the county. But it was even though it was new technology, it was becoming antiquated quickly because of the things we were using. We were just running out to one of the local stores and buying a TV panel to replace a panel, and it worked. It worked for a while. But when we built the new Building A, we set up a modern traffic operations center in the new Building A. I would encourage you, the next time you're on Ronald Reagan or near Ronald Reagan Drive, come in. I know right now construction's tough and there's not a lot of places to park and people are here still doing their business. But when you get the opportunity, come in the new Building A and take a look at the Traffic Operations Center. It's right across from the auditorium. So when you walk in the building, it's very easy to find on the first floor. And it's a glass wall, and you'll be able to stand behind that glass wall and look at a huge wall that has intersections all over it. You'll be able to see how the cars are being counted and how that works. It's really cool. So take an opportunity to see that. You'll also see the people that work in traffic operations. You'll have people that are actually sitting there actively monitoring traffic. And there are times of the day that we actually assign people to the desk because we know we have situations where traffic's backing up in certain areas and maybe there aren't enough lanes and maybe it's not working exactly the way we want it to. So we actually have people there that are going to fine-tune everything so you spend less time at red lights and are able to get through Columbia County. So definitely take the opportunity to come by the Traffic Control Center if you get a chance. So how does the network actually work? What does it do? We're going to break it down step by step. So it starts with a product called InSync Adaptive Traffic Control. And this is a product that was invented or put in place by a company called Rhythm Engineering. We've been partnering with Rhythm for many years now on this traffic network. And we've really grown with them and they've grown with us to make it one of the most premier traffic networks in the entire state, maybe even in the country. So Rhythm InSync is the brains of the operation. We were the first jurisdiction in the entire state of Georgia to connect all of our traffic signals. We did that back in 2015. We started it before 2015, but we were able to get everything kind of up and running. And today it covers every one of our 83 signalized intersections in Columbia County. And it gives us the ability to do some other things we'll talk about as well. So here's the magic of InSync and how it runs. Traditional traffic lights, they run on fixed timers. You may have noticed in the past the loop system. So if you didn't pull up close enough to a light, you didn't trigger the loop. There's actually an indicator under the pavement, and you'd pull up over that. It would let the traffic light know you were there, and a timer would start. And once that timer got to a certain time that was predetermined, then it would allow you to go through the intersection. So, it'd be green for 30 seconds, whether there's 2 cars or 200 cars. It didn't matter. It was green for whatever the amount of time was. In this case, let's just say 30 seconds. So InSync's completely different than that. Every intersection has 3 to 4 high-definition cameras that act like eyes right there on the road. So they're going to count vehicles in every lane. They're going to count all the turn movements. They're going to measure how long cars have been waiting, and they're even going to spot gaps in traffic. And then they take all that information and in real time, it begins to calculate and it begins to talk back to the light, telling the light how to operate. Great thing about traffic lights in Columbia County, if you come up to one in the middle of the night and you're the only car on the road, you're not going to have to sit there for the entire cycle to happen. The network's going to realize that you're the only car on the road, and it's going to turn green for you very quickly, which is exactly what we want it to do. So the camera's going to feed the real-time data into the artificial intelligence software. I know AI can be a bad word, but in this case, we're using it for the right things. We're using it to help our traffic in Columbia County. And then AI makes a split-second decision. So it's going to be talking to itself. It's going to be like, hey, the main road has a long line. We're going to give it a few extra seconds on green. Or a side street is empty. We're going to shorten the light on that side. And they don't work in isolation. It's not each individual intersection calculating that data. They talk to each other through our fiber network, and that allows us to have one light talk to the next light, and we do what's called platooning vehicles. So one light saying, hey, next light, I'm going to platoon 15 cars. We got 15 cars in this platoon. They're all moving together, and we're going to get you to the next light. So, hey, next light, you need to be green when these 15 get there. That's why some of you have experienced in Columbia County, if you get lucky enough, you hit the lights just right, you can start all the way out at Riverwood Plantation and get greens all the way on Washington Road to the Richmond-Columbia County line. And that's because you've got into that platoon, the lights are talking to each other. It's usually easier if there's not a lot of side traffic, because side traffic is going to have an impact. So it may stop the whole platoon if they realize there's a lot of side traffic backing up at any intersection. But basically, it gives them the green, and it allows you to go through the county. So the result of that is what engineers call green tunnels, or efficient corridors where the traffic really flows smoothly instead of that stop and go. During rush hour or after a wreck or when school lets out, the system knows that, so it's going to adapt to that instantly. So no more sitting through 3 full cycles because the light doesn't know you're there. No more easing up to the light just to make sure that you trip that strip underneath the pavement. You don't have to do that anymore. The network does it all for you. So it's really cool the way it works, and it makes us a lot more efficient here in Columbia County. We also have emergency vehicle preemption on our traffic lights. Now, this is a really neat concept. As a retired state trooper, I used to teach how to operate an emergency vehicle, and anytime you're approaching an intersection, if you're running lights and siren, you have to use what's called due regard for the other people around you. If you don't, then you're going to be at fault, even though you're running lights and siren through that intersection. So our fire trucks and our sheriff's vehicles and our ambulances, they're all required to do that. They're all trained to do that. We've started a pilot program with our fire department that actually allows for preemption. What that means is we put a device on the fire truck that says when this fire truck is running lights and siren, it's going to be talking ahead to the next intersection. And as it talks ahead to the next intersection, it realizes, hey, there's a fire truck coming and it's running lights and siren. We're going to give it greens. We're going to give it greens the entire way. So now we don't have to worry about people that may not be paying attention. They have a green light, but there's a fire truck coming through the intersection. Next thing you know, we have a crash as a result of that. We don't have to worry about that anymore because now the fire truck is going to have green the entire way. And this shaves precious minutes and seconds off of response time, which has been a great benefit for us. Now, we don't have that on every emergency vehicle yet in the county, but we are testing that. There is a downside. The downside of that is once that fire truck does go through the intersection on that green, it preempts it. It takes a couple of minutes for the lights to get back in sync again. So it could really kind of mess up the flow. If it was platooning vehicles and all of a sudden out of nowhere, here comes this fire truck and it preempts the light, then it's going to have to work itself back through and kind of reset. So kind of an interesting concept, interesting way for it to work. It's been good for us. I think we've reduced fire truck accidents significantly as a result of having these devices. We also use what's called dynamic message signs. These are those big electronic boards that you kind of see on Washington Road, and it may say, accident ahead, expect a 10-minute delay, or use an alternate route. For pedestrians and cyclists, we have 34 new what we call rapid flashing beacons, RFBs, at high visibility crosswalks in the county. So these are going to indicate to drivers, hey, there's somebody trying to cross the road. And it's not just that little flashing light anymore. This is a rapid flash, really bright flash that protects our pedestrians and our cyclists in the county. So we've installed those as well. When somebody pushes that button, they all of a sudden get the right of way once it activates. And we've also installed these, working with our school system, at all school zones in the county, and everything is operating on the traffic network. Finally, one of the coolest parts of it, and this is kind of a new thing, it's been around, but I'm still trying to get used to it myself, is a app. It's called Glance Travel Safely. This is the Columbia County version of Glance, Glance, Glance Travel Safely. You can download this app on your phone. It actually works in other parts of the country. If anybody else has the same kind of network or an intelligent traffic network, it doesn't have to just be Columbia County. But it's a free tool available in the App Store and on Google Play. You can download it and turn it on, and then your phone is going to connect directly with the traffic signals. Now, what you don't get is preemption. It would be really nice if you would download the app and say, I'm in a hurry today. Can I just get greens all the way down? That would be nice, but we don't have that. I don't have that. We're not there yet, but it does talk to the network, and it does talk directly to the signals and the beacons, and then you're going to get spoken alerts on this app. So if you have it on and you're using it in your car, it'll say something like traffic signal ahead, or in 300 feet, or school zone is active. So it lets you know that you're coming up to a school zone. It'll even say a pedestrian is crossing ahead. And the best part about it is while you're using it, you can keep your eyes on the road. You don't have to play with the app the entire time. It'll actually talk to you in real time. Kind of a cool party trick if you don't want to download the app and you feel like that's too much, and I completely get that. Maybe a little too much for me too. But maybe just as a party trick, as a passenger in the car, download the app, because you're going to be able to tell the person driving, hey, that light's going to turn green in 4, 3, 2, 1, green. Which is kind of neat. So it is a wave of the future. Right now, we're just kind of working through that and just trying to see how the app works best for Columbia County. But so far, so good. So that's the full network. That's the Intelligent Traffic Network. Cameras, AI, fiber, signals, and your smartphone all working together like a living, breathing traffic brain to help you navigate the roads here in Columbia County. So let's talk about numbers. Because smart government means smart investments. We've tried to do that in Columbia County. So back in 2015, when we fully implemented this program, we rolled it out across, it was about 65 signals at that time. We did a pilot program prior to that. So we started with fewer signals in a smaller corridor, and then we expanded it. So the entire thing cost us a little over $2 million, which is roughly $35,000 an intersection, to get this thing up and running in the very beginning. And that included the cameras and the software and the integration and the things we needed. But we funded that all through sales tax money. There was no property tax money that went into that. There was no wasteful government spending that went into that. We were able to strategically place sales tax money, whether it be SPLOST money or TIA money, to build this network for us. It's not self-sustaining, but we've been able to continue to fund it without using property tax dollars. That's an important thing to note. So I'm going to pause here just a second. As we're working through our budget here this year, we are doing our best to reduce, and I said earlier at the beginning of the podcast, we're trying to eliminate property taxes in Columbia County. Well, when we do, we still have to operate government. The good thing about the way we operate in Columbia County is, with that smart growth and smart investment that we're trying to implement, we're using other sources of funds. And this is a great example of a great program that we were able to fund from different sources, different areas, without having to use property tax dollars. So again, it's a win-win for the citizens here in Columbia County. Have the best of the best, pay less property taxes. If we can do that, then I certainly think we're getting where we need to be. So that's how that was funded when we first started. Supporting all of it is C3BU. C3BU, that may be worthy of its own podcast one day, but it is our fiber network in Columbia County. It's exclusive to us. We own and operate the fiber internally. We're not leasing the fiber from anybody else. We actually have people on our team that go out and install fiber and splice it if it's ever cut, and put it back together, and maintain the servers and the network to make sure that the network works all the time. So it's the county's high-speed network. We own it. We operate it. It was built years ago. We got a federal grant for a little over $13 million to start that project. But instead of just connecting our schools and our government buildings, we decided to make it a traffic network with an inner ring and an outer ring that's redundant. So if it's cut one way, it goes the other way. You've heard me talk before about our radio system here in Columbia County. Our radio system, 911, is on this fiber network. So it's all working together. Everything that we have is working together on the backbone of this fiber network. And we have amazing uptimes. I believe the industry standard is 5 nines. We're beyond that. And when I say 5 nines, that means it's up 99.99999% of the time. We're able to sustain that and do that here in Columbia County, and knock on wood somewhere. Let me find some wood. Knock on wood. That system has not failed us yet. It got us through an ice storm. It got us through a hurricane. It's gotten us through really everything that's been thrown our way. That network has not failed. So kudos to the folks at C3BU. Keep up the good work there, and we appreciate how it helps us with this traffic network. Today, ongoing maintenance, software updates, the camera upkeep, all the things that happen, expansion as new signals come on, all that's part of our traffic operations budget. Again, that is not a general fund thing. We don't operate traffic operations in Columbia County out of our general fund. We do it out of the IPTF fund. That's the Insurance Premium Tax Fund. So as you and I pay insurance, we are taxed on our insurance premium. That money is put together in a big pot in the state of Georgia and then turned back over to Columbia County based on how much our residents put into the pot. So we get those insurance premium tax fund dollars. They are earmarked and restricted. We can't use them for everything, but we can use them for the traffic network. So it's funded through that. It's also, I mentioned, funded through SPLOST and through T-SPLOST. So again, no property tax dollars have gone into this amazing network. Your taxes are not going up as we expand it. We're finding other ways to pay for it. So with that, we don't have to build new $100 million highways every year. The targeted investments that we have here are really giving us huge returns and paying us huge dividends, which is the smarter way to operate government, in my opinion. So what's the return on investment? This is kind of interesting. I found these numbers as I was putting together my show notes this week. Independent studies concluded that Rhythm Engineering showed that Columbia County drivers save an estimated $2.9 million every single year. And this is in time and fuel alone. Now, this is not money coming back to Columbia County. This is money being saved by our residents because we have this intelligent traffic network in place. So on the key corridors, on our major corridors, we've seen up to 29% reduction in travel time. So imagine that, saving yourself 30% of your travel time, which is amazing. 71 fewer stops at lights, a 15% savings in gasoline because you're not idling, and that takes gas. And the big one here, our crash reductions in Columbia County have reduced 26 to 31% in the study areas that we did on Washington Road. So that's real money in your pocket. Less fender benders, less waste sitting at the traffic light. All those things all come together. And so why is it all important? Well, growth is coming whether we like it or not. Fort Gordon is continuing to expand. People are still wanting new houses in Columbia County. We're getting new businesses. You've heard us talk about that recently, a couple of announcements of new businesses. All of that means more vehicles. It means more people on the road. And widening every road isn't feasible. It's not really affordable. I'm going to talk about that as I finish up the show today. But our intelligent network lets us squeeze the maximum of efficiency out of the roads we already have. And that's really what we're trying to do. Just recently, because we have this traffic network, we were able to come up with a unique solution to a pretty tough situation. Some of you may have seen or heard there was a rezoning on Washington Road across from Regions Bank and the government complex on the other side of Washington Road near the Camelot subdivision. And the developer already has a piece of commercial property there, right there on Washington Road, but they don't really have good access to it. So they were hoping to be able to get access through Camelot Camelot subdivision has a traffic light there. They were hoping to get access there. And they were going to buy a couple of houses. It was going to be very expensive, but that was the best way to get people in and out of this new development that they were trying to put there. The residents weren't happy with that. Ultimately, the Board of Commissioners allowed them to withdraw that request. It was not denied. It was withdrawn. And it was really withdrawn because we came up with some better ideas. And one of the ideas is, as the government complex continues to expand, we wanted to do something with Faircloth Drive. So that's the intersection over by Circle K where the Chicken Salad Chick is, and that area right there. The car wash and Jiffy Lube is all right there together. So what can we do with that intersection? Well, historically, we've not been allowed, it's a state road, we've not been allowed to put a light there because of the distance between the Ronald Reagan light, and then that light, and the light at Walmart and Sonic. So there wasn't enough distance there. But we've gone back to the DOT and we've talked to them and we've said, hey, look, remember we have this intelligent traffic network. So if you'll work with us on this, we can get the network to do the work for us, and we won't have the backups that you would traditionally see at these short intersections. We can, make them all red together, make them all green together, and make them all work together. So again, a very unique solution to a very difficult problem, and we're working through that process right now. So we hope that we're going to be able to do that. So it's all about safety first, fewer stops, smoother flow, fewer accidents, and then protecting our pedestrians at the crosswalks is super important. It's all about time and quality of life. Every minute you're not stuck in traffic is a minute that you can be back at work or back with your family, or enjoying one of our parks or something going on in Columbia County. So we're doing our best to make sure that we can be future ready. We can get our fire trucks to places quicker, that we can make it more efficient for everybody. And you know what? We're not just keeping up. We're leading the way in Georgia, which I think is pretty interesting. So before we wrap up, here's your call to action this week. I want you to take a look at the Glance, GLANCE, Travel Safely Columbia County app. It is free. It's genuinely useful. Again, if you don't want to use it, maybe it's a cool party trick. But it lets you do some cool things and, just maybe give it a shot and see what you think. Also want to give a huge shout out to our traffic engineering folks, all the folks in engineering here in Columbia County, but the traffic engineering and operations team, our roads and bridges people, they're the unsung heroes of keeping our roads smart and safe every day. So I want to give them a quick shout out. And as promised, I like to end our episode with the most ridiculous thing I've heard lately. So this week we're talking about traffic, and I can talk about the thing that I heard, which was Columbia County doesn't care about traffic. We have a lot of money sitting in the bank, and we're not doing anything with it. Couldn't be farther from the truth. It's actually a bit ridiculous. We are doing a lot with the money in the bank. First of all, the TIA money that's in the bank is TIA's money. It's not Columbia County's money. It's the voters have voted on it. The money's in the bank. We have to do certain projects. And remember, I told you at the beginning of the episode, sometimes it takes years to get some of those done. But I did want to highlight some of the projects that are being done right now. If you're out and about in Columbia County, you'll see it. Furie's Ferry Road, Horizon South Parkway, Hardy McManus Road, all those projects are currently under construction or being worked on as we speak. Collectively, those projects exceed $100 million. That's $100 million of money that's already in the bank. Your taxes aren't going up as a result of that. Money's already in the bank, and we're able to do those projects. But it's not just those. We have projects all over the county. The part of the county that I live in, I'm very excited about the Louisville Road, Columbia Road roundabout. This has been a long time coming. We actually lost a former state senator at that intersection, was killed at that intersection in a crash. So that roundabout there is going to be a big impact for Columbia County. So that starts construction in September of this year. Baker Place Road at Wrightsboro Road is another one kind of nearby there. That one's in the concept phase. That concept is due in July of this year. But again, even after concept, it takes 2 years to get it done. And people are like, well, just do it faster, do it faster. I promise you, if Chick-fil-A was building roads in Columbia County, they could not do it any faster than we're doing it. As efficient as they are, as good as they are at what they do, there's just a long process. So, folks, we care about roads in Columbia County, and we're working hard to make sure that we take care of that traffic and take care of you. So that's it for this podcast, this episode of the County Compass. I hope you enjoyed it. I want to remind you, we did have some people send us some notes saying, hey, here's some future show ideas. Continue those coming. If you have some ideas, let us know what those are. Make sure you subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and or YouTube. And leave us a review. Leave us a comment if you have things you want to say. We would certainly love to hear from you. It helps more neighbors discover what's happening in the county, the more we can get the word out about the podcast. So thanks for riding along with us today. I ask you to drive safe out there, Columbia County. Until then, I always end with, I'm glad to call Columbia County home, and I hope those of you that live here, I hope you are too. We'll see you next time on the County Compass. Take care.
This has been the County Compass, Columbia County's guide to news, voices, and perspectives. Thank you for listening. We appreciate you taking the time to stay informed about the issues, initiatives, and people impacting our community. And we sincerely hope today's conversation helps you better understand the work being done in Columbia County. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. As always, visit Columbia County's official website or social media channels for additional information. And until next time, thanks for tuning in.